I'm Dave Leach, and I'm a volunteer for the armyofgod.com website, which is an anti-abortion website that honors people who have taken physical action to stop abortions and have either been in jail or are in jail for doing so. The way I volunteer is by answering emails that come to the website that web host Don Spitz does not have time or interest in answering. This email comes from Brian Hosley. He said, "I don't see how wrecking Planned Parenthood is justified. Revenge is set aside for God alone and is not for us to decide who lives or dies. I'm against abortion, but two wrongs don't make a right." I replied, "Hi, I'm a volunteer for the armyofgod.com website. Thank you for inviting our response to your thoughts about disabling a killing operation. Your subject line indicates you are thinking of killing an abortionist." What I meant was that your subject is killing an abortionist, but your example is of wrecking a building. Now, in either case, you say, it's set aside for God alone to accept revenge. Do you agree, then, that God has the authority to delegate that obligation by His commandments in Scripture? If we do agree, then do you agree with Proverbs 24, verses 10 to 12? What is your interpretation of that passage? You say, two wrongs don't make a right. Do you know where this is in the Bible? I've certainly heard the phrase a lot, but I'm actually not sure where this appropriately applies. Normally, for example, lying would be a sin, but when the midwives lied to Pharaoh in order to save thousands of lives, God rewarded them in Exodus 1. Normally, it is sin to defy the laws of one's government, Romans 13:1. That is, when the higher authorities, plural, are not in conflict, since one cannot obey two authorities that are in conflict. So, when a higher authority murders or commands that Scripture be silenced in conflict with the highest authority, which should we obey? Acts 5:29, which says we ought to obey God rather than man, or Proverbs 24, verses 10 to 12, which says we should rescue those being led away to death, even if the government protects the murderers. He wrote back. He started off by clarifying what I used the poor word choice. "I am not thinking of killing anybody. I'm way more creative than that. I'm not a killer, but I can be a pain in anyone's ass. I thought all day about the stuff I read online, and after your response, well, you're right, I never thought of it that way. I'm a serial sinner, and I thank God for His Son's sacrifice. Otherwise, there would be no hope for me." I wrote back. I said, "Sorry for the confusion. I wrote your subject line indicates you're thinking of killing an abortionist, and in my mind, my meaning was your subject line indicates your subject is the killing of an abortionist by someone else. But I see how you took it, that I was saying you are planning yourself to kill an abortionist. Sorry for the poor word choice. That wasn't my meaning at all. My own hope of stopping abortion has been through the 2004 law, which said precisely what Roe said must be said for legal abortion to end, that all unborn babies are human beings. I explain this at saltshaker.us/slick/no-greener-light.pdf. There are only two kinds of cases I can think of to bring a direct challenge to Roe through the 2004 law. The clean way is for a state to criminalize abortion and for the Attorney General to argue the 2004 law when it is challenged in court. The messy way is to use that argument to defend someone who has shot an abortionist. So far, I have not made any progress with pro-life lawmakers in my state, Iowa, and I have not found pro-lifers in other states willing to work with legislation there. But Scott Roeder was willing to allow me to submit arguments in his case, where he shot and killed the infamous late-term George the Killer Tiller. And that was Operation Rescue's nickname for him. Well, I haven't heard back.